when you fix your website. Why is it broken?
It's not broken, is it? Because it breaks some.
Welcome back to Linux Gamecast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. I'm Old Man Vin, joined every week by Jordan Zwang and Pedro Montez, and together with you, Shot Realm Dynamic, joining us live, helping us form a multi-bifurcated cocaine Voltron. Now,
that's 250 per cane.
500 canes, man.
Yes. 250 pairs of cane.
Welcome to the D. This is episode D, ladies and gentlemen. 500 episodes.
Not at 5 years. That'll be 520, and then we can make all sorts of 520 weed jokes. It's gonna be hilarious.
520. That's a superior 420.
Years, yes.
More advanced.
Yeah.
So, we got some stuff coming up for you. Stay tuned. Later on in the show, we talk to our old pal Mathieu Commandon from Lutris. He's going to share with you his experiences with having two decks and what's up for Lutris in the future on deck, and just general things.
What's on deck for Lutris?
Well,
you might say
possibly. It was kind of fun watching him do it because he was side-eyeing his burrito that he hadn't finished.
What are you talking about? We haven't recorded that segment yet. You
haven't done that yet.
You're violating causality, Ben.
Shut up. We've been over this. Speaking of decks, Pedro, you got one.
I do. I actually do. I'm glad I picked the 64 gig model because there you go. You can see all the reflections.
Ring light.
After seeing some of the horror stories of people, it's like, yeah, I was about an hour late to put in my reservation for my deck, and now I'm in Q3. It's like, yeah, I was an hour late doing it too because Steam kept crashing, and I'm glad I went with this one because 3 weeks, I think it was the third round of emails. Like, yes, I can order it. There you go.
So what does it taste like? Does it have the Nintendo Switch Bitterroot?
New deck taste.
Stick your deck in your mouth. Give it a lick. Some autofellatio right there.
It doesn't have the bitterant, so yeah, I guess kids are going to be putting their mouths all over it.
It's a choking hazard, Pedro.
Keep the deck out of your mouth.
Children have the decks right down their throat.
It's thus far it's been a very, very nice gaming experience. Even some Lutris stuff that I have now got running. Need for Speed World.
That's pretty neat, man. I'm glad you had a chance to play with it. Rohit's also got one. He's a member of our Shot Realm and Discord. I'm keeping an eye on Rohit because he's actually trying to get interesting shit up and running on his.
Is he trying to speedrun Doom 3 on it, though?
Possibly. But, Pedro, you got a deck, but what I got looks like you're a little pithy toy compared to what I picked up this week. Something far superior,
Did you pick up
far
a blade
more
server?
entertaining. Dude, so much better. So much more entertainment value. Ladies and gentlemen, that's just a power supply. That's all I got.
It's got a clicky switch.
It's got a clicky switch. See, look, I could click it with my power and go off. It's back there. It's a light. That light.
Just press the button.
Yeah, here, watch. That's it. That's all I got. My HDMI splitter, which was my other exciting office thing that I bought, hasn't shown up yet. So yeah, power supply. That's all I got going on. So go to hell, Pedro. How about you, Jordan?
Oh, well, fuck both of you. I got nothing, man. Everyone gets like power supplies and Steam decks. I have like a fucking toenail clipper. I'm gonna go manicure myself. No, it's been a pretty boring week. Was deload. I'm back on heavy squats tomorrow, so I'm preparing my ass for pain. Yeah,
Ass for
about
pain.
it. Yeah, it's like ass per in.
I mean, we're not doing phrasing anymore, so. Yeah.
Hey, man, do you think the horse can still feel any ass per pain?
I mean, the horse has been having its areolas thoroughly rubbed, so it might catch a fire a little later on. It's the Steam
Linux update of the week.
All right. Let's talk about what everyone has come here to hear about.
Yeah, baby.
You've been waiting for it.
That's
Windows 11
One thing.
on the deck, baby.
Goddamn.
Yeah. Right, man. We're getting the master operating system on here. You heard about Windows 10 on the deck. Well, get ready. Hold on to your fucking socks, because we're putting Windows 11 on here. Well, not quite. You gotta modify your proprietary OS first. It doesn't install right out of the box. It's missing that TPM 2.0, so you gotta disable that service from the installer. But once you get up and running on your Steam Deck, it's gonna be even more miserable than running Windows 10 on it, because at least shit kind of worked on Windows 10. It barely works on Windows 11. Very, very, very user friendly. I don't know what all these articles, man. They keep bringing up the dual booting potential of the Steam Deck. It's going to make it the ultimate machine. I'm like, man, I truly look forward to hearing a bunch of media people lament about half of their disk space missing because Windows can't mount Linux partitions.
Oh man!
And also the annoying bullshit that is having to restart your computer to start an app.
But my GeoForce Now, how to Cybertrucks and Far Cries. Come on, man, love a little. Okay, here's the thing. I've seen a lot of people with a very, very, very negative, and I get it. I understand it. I feel you. Say, why would you do this? It's perfectly good, and you don't get your stupid Windows off of it. We do the exact same shit. Exact same shit. When some new hardware shows up, what do? All right, let's see if we can get Linux on it. Yeah,
but it's like Linux and Doom, though. That's its own class of software. Of like,
well, hey man, I don't have a problem with those wacky kids wanting to install a hacker OS on their Linux console. That's fine by me. But you know what? AMD, it's made possible because for whatever reason, I mean, go to AMD, I guess they made a driver, GPU and Wi-Fi driver, no audio driver yet. And so you can experience Windows 10, possibly Windows 11 if you squint, if you want to, but then you got to deal with Windows on that small screen. And holy hell, on top of that with the poop performance. Now, this is kind of, let me tell you why this is a good thing. I'll tell you why it's a good thing. I'm not going to say there's a large percentage of people, but there's enough to where I'd start keeping an eye on eBay of people going, you know what? I'm going to get this. I'm going to drop my Windows on it, and I'm going to have my portable Windows gaming machine. That dream is not going to happen. And I understand what you're thinking to yourself, but then they just got to wait. And the driver, these are not the type of people that are going to just take this device and set it aside and hope that it gets up and running properly one day down the road. Nay, that shit's going on eBay. They're going to try to recoup some costs. So keep an eye out for some Steam Deck.
Yes. Not as patient as the Windows or as the Linux users. We're used to like,
patient.
Yeah,
You
gotta wait a year for like wanting to make this run like at 29 frames a second so we can actually like get in game and shit. Like, yeah.
Also, on Windows, you're stuck with the drivers that AMD made. On Linux, you have the ones that the community have been making for many, many years because AMD's drivers were shit. So, yeah, no, I'm sitting back just enjoying the catharsis of seeing a bunch of Windows journalists, effectively, using the exact same argument, saying the exact same thing that Linux users have said for years.
It is nice to hear. Lack of optimization.
Yeah, it's like,
the care isn't put into these.
Thank you.
Yeah, like no, really. If you put effort into making something run well, it might actually run well.
Thank you. Seriously, thank you, Valve, for not just the great gaming device that you provided, but for just the hours of entertainment of watching a bunch of people who don't know what they're talking about running their mouths.
It's interesting to see. Now, ultimately, we were talking about this. We'll be talking about this in the future that we haven't talked about yet. Most people, they're just going to buy a Steam Deck for a portable gaming PC. And I think Valve is even thinking like, hey, man, this is just there just to play your library. Best case scenario, you never even understand what it's running underneath it. You click your button,
press a button,
you play game. Yeah. Receive game.
Yeah, it's the thing to play the game. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And, it's a fraction of a minority, the type of person who would install Linux on something that didn't run Linux. You're still dealing with that fraction of a minority of someone who's going to take it and have the technical ability to set up a dual booting system and waiting for Steam.
Yeah. Have the dock, the Type-C dock to do it?
I think it's fine. You know what? I hope if you bought one to get Windows up and running on it and that's your jam, maybe it's going to be a good experience 6 months from now. If it's not, you know what? Try out Linux. It's even running Arch. You might like it. Don't knock it.
You could even run Internet Explorer on it.
Why don't you just, okay, maybe I can sell you on this. How about this? What if I told you that you could play all of your Xbox games on your Steam Deck?
How much is that going to cost, Venstone?
How about if I told you could play some of your Xbox titles on your Now I'm wondering. Daniel Kinnett. Yeah, it was awesome working with Valve and the Edge team on bringing Xbox cloud gaming to the Steam Deck. No shit. True story.
Mind blown.
There it is. Yeah. Hey, gaming friends. It's like, hello, children. Like, no, bad touch. Xbox
How do
gamers,
you do,
Steam Deck
fellow
owners.
kids?
We've worked closely with Valve Game Pass Ultimate through Microsoft Edge Beta on the Steam Deck. Yes, seriously, I'm glad they threw that in because up until that point, I'm like, yeah. So, like, doing it like Microsoft. Why are they doing it like this? I had to think about it because you got to get Edge and a flat pack, and you got to jump through some hoops right now. Admittedly, but I'm guessing the reason they're doing this is, Microsoft doesn't have to give old Gaben a cut to get the Game Pass up and running. And I was wondering, I was kind of new to this. I had to do a little bit of research. And, Xbox Cloud Gaming. What is Xbox Cloud Gaming? Real search I did earlier this afternoon. That's Microsoft's X Cloud gaming service. It's like Stadia, but good. And it's currently $14.99 a month. I know that one person that watches the show that one time, we had that defended Stadia. I'm like, Google doesn't even defend Stadia. So,
and installation is kind of straightforward, sort of, kind of. You need to install a flat pack, set a bunch of launch options on said flat pack, change the icon of a shortcut so that it stops being Edge and starts being Xbox Cloud Gaming, and then you're pretty much good to go. But it's like Ben said, $14.99 a month for this. It's going to be another $9 for EA Play, another $9 for the basic crappy level of GeForce Now. Man, these subscription services, they're going to start getting expensive unless some people start bundling some shit.
Yeah. What really surprised me here was it's Microsoft, an official Microsoft person, just giving you a bunch of Linux terminal commands that you can run in order to get your Edge browser to play your Xbox games. That
Microsoft loves Linux.
Yeah, but I was told by these Windows fanboys many times now on Twitter that it's never going to be a thing. The Steam Deck is going to fail miserably because you can't play the Xbox One. And why would Microsoft support the Steam Deck?
Money.
Game Pass, baby.
Yeah. Money is why they would support it, because they can put it on the Steam Deck, which is a massively popular device, as it turns out. And yeah, they're going to make money because people go, oh, I can get all of the Xbox streaming games on the Steam Deck. I just have to run through. Okay, the process needs some work, but yeah, they do probably should pay Steam the $100.
I would only give that installation procedure to somebody I disliked.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of steps for a lot of people, the kind of people who already have Xbox streaming. Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing. You know what? That's doable if you have a Bluetooth keyboard and maybe a pointing
or a Type-C dock
and a keyboard.
I don't have any keyboards.
A dedicated keyboard, it wouldn't make this much easier.
This is going to be a problem. I use butterflies to type into my computer.
You also don't have a Steam Deck. There's multiple layers to this issue.
But I can get a 5700G and pretend.
You just get that ridiculous fucking dock with nothing plugged into it. I'm like, why, man? Why?
Listen, you don't get to tell me how to live my life. I'm gonna use my invisible computer because it has an imaginary 3090 in it. Ben, I'm tracing all the imaginary rays.
I make the clicking noises.
Yeah. No, but like, and to your point, Pedro, why does Microsoft want to support this Linux device? Because they don't care. They telegraphed the move by trying to buy out Activision and saying that they're going to keep making games for PlayStation. They don't care about console anymore. They care about you buying into their ecosystem and paying them $10, $14 a month, whatever you end up having to pay for this, so that they can slowly jack it up so it becomes another one of these subscription fees that you keep on your bill because it's a pain in the ass to unsubscribe and resubscribe. And that's Microsoft's strategy going forward. So they want as wide penetration as possible.
Oh, they absolutely do. And it's kind of hard to turn down to the Xbox Game Pass because it is an incredible value. if you're in that ecosystem.
For the amount of money you're paying and the amount of games that you have access to. Granted, you're streaming them, but yeah, that's a lot of games.
It is. Now, SteamOS is running a file system that is both hated and really hated in our Discord. I mean, some people...
By Strider?
By Strider.
Yes, by the person we will be talking to later on, yes.
Btrfs that's what SteamOS 3.0 is using.
No, it's using ext4. But some
wait a minute.
Clever.
What about when I'm done with this?
Yes, some very, very clever people. Philip Richer is one of them. Decided, you know what? This ext4, we're not having none of that. Let's try and convert everything to Btrfs. And, kudos, major kudos. They have something that technically works. It starts the GitLab page is filled with words like hopefully and attempt, which aren't really selling me on this thing, but no, it is.
If we're doing 4 letters for the uninstall, just go with YOLO on that.
Yeah. Good luck.
Magnet.
Yeah. But you can do it. You can absolutely do it. There's the SteamOS Btrfs GitLab, and Philip runs you through all the options that you need and what you need to do in order to get it. You will have to set a password for your Steam account, for the Linux user account on your Steam Deck, because it doesn't come with one by default, so that you can use sudo in order to do everything that this script allows you to, which is to convert your external SD card to Btrfs.
I mean, it's easy enough going from ext4 to Btrfs. They had that conversion utility when Btrfs came out originally. It's still a little janky, but it should work for the most part. I guess, yeah. If you really want, if you're doing some shit and you need like snapshotting or compression on your SD card, maybe like you can only afford the one and you need to maximize the amount of space there. But I mean, more options are good, right? It also enables SteamOS to mount other Btrfs partitions, which is a thing that I guess it doesn't normally do.
I can think of one very good use case.
Oh?
Yes.
Upsetting Strider?
Because I fucking can.
Yeah, upsetting Strider.
That is the ultimate argument, yes.
Welcome to Linux. Hi. A couple of game updates this week, though.
Yeah. This one's Black Geyser, Couriers of Darkness. It is another isometric RPG inspired by Icewind Dale and its Infinity Engine ilk. They have a greed mechanic. I think they stole it from Burning Wheel. Not a bad game to steal some stuff from. It has a lot of good, interesting systems. So the game has a morality system of sorts, depending on how greedy you act. So I guess this is like the Icewind Dale Ferengi edition. And supposedly it's a relatively open world, which in terms of these games means, yes, you can go to the area where there's like at level 1 where there's the level 28 bad guys who will just murder you.
I like
Are you
that.
going to be able to
I
defeat
appreciate that, because I will sit there and try to cheese those fuckwits for a day. Take one out.
It really does scream Baldur's Gate Throne of Baal or Icewind Dale 2. The graphics, that particular level of graphics, and the way that the selection ring transforms into like the crosshairs when you're targeting enemy is like, oh yeah, that's Throne of Baal right there.
Is this Unity? Because I know they basically like between Obsidian and the other former Black Guile guys that I don't drawing
know.
a blank on.
In Exile.
Make it a point.
Exile, yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit of a chunker at 40 gigs.
Yeah, it's a bit pricey too at $33.99 Canadian. Yeah. Especially because you can get like Pillars of Eternity Deadfire for a lot less, and that like for sure is a really good game if you're interested in isometric RPGs.
It has mixed reviews, so I don't know enough about this genre. When I see this, I think Jordan. Like, what's Jordan's take on this? Maybe because I know there's the people who like the point and click.
Yeah. Based on the reviews, it seems like just the story isn't there. The gameplay and the gameplay is just kind of okay. So maybe
the gameplay stuff that we've seen before. Yes.
Yeah. Nothing too groundbreaking. And again, Pillars of Eternity 2 like actually made improvements on the Infinity Engine system, which like it makes going back and playing other games like that, like Tyranny, just completely miserable. It's so hard going back. But yeah, it's available on Linux. You can check it out if you are into morally complex isometric clicking games.
Man, all that talk of moral complexity is making me a little bit hungry. Up next, we have Meet and Greet, or as I like to call it, Cow and Chicken. Atmospheric puzzle platformer Meet and Greet. You will experience the horrors of slaughter. It's a puzzle platformer. I'm going to click play on this so I can watch the little cows go moo. So yeah, I took a look at this. I don't know. I mean, it's a puzzle platformer where you can play as food. That's really all I can say about it. You can switch between steak and nuggets. Pick one. I'm going with chicken nuggets on this. And yeah, all I was thinking was like Cow and Chicken, but with more puzzle platforming. You got to escape. See, it doesn't have multiplayer. You see the chicken in the back of the cow and you're like, hey, can we do some like online multiplayer? Yeah.
It's Sonic and Knuckles.
all I think about, right, or like Banjo-Kazooie. All I think about when I see that is like the episode of The Simpsons where they showed the educational film about like the slaughterhouses. Like, when I grow up, I want to go to Bovine University. Yeah,
This
so it's Bovine
is
University,
coming
the game.
soon, and I don't know. I mean, I get what they're going for, but I don't know if.
Yeah, it's that very, very razor thin tightrope of like, this could be very serious or it could be fucking hilarious. And
I hope for an intentionally hilarious because I'm a terrible human being.
See, Pedro falls into that. We've seen that screenshot of, I think it was like Peter was suggesting, like, hey, we need to put the name of the animals on the packaging that the meat comes in. And the guy was like, cool,
Yes.
I'll do it like Cokes, man. I'll try to find my name.
yeah.
I absolutely would eat a lot more meat if in that. Yes.
Are you just saying your icebox would be full of Pedro?
Wait. So something auto cannibalism. We got to talk about that in the in between segment. I'm going to put a pin in that. Let's talk about rewriting your entire game to support the anti-cheat.
Jesus, fuck this on again, off again.
Yeah, as it turns out, we had long running discussions and a bit of a gag about Vermintide 2 and how Valve saw their thing and decided, you know what, no, we can't let this fly. So they came out and they gave exact steps. You go to this place, you tick a box, you download the file that it gives you, and you drop that file into your Steam depot. That's it.
Why is
That's
this
all
important?
you need to do. You don't... Yeah, because
Sometimes
the
he forgets
developers of
everybody else
Vermintide
doesn't know
2
they have the show notes in front of them. Yeah.
Yep.
Because the developers of Vermintide 2 had claimed that there were two different versions of EAC, and they were using the older version of EAC, and so in order to support Proton, they would need to rebuild their game, the entire game. They would need to rebuild the whole thing
To work
in
with
order
the
to
new
support Proton, which they didn't want to do.
No,
And
Pedro, they've
now there's
clearly
a
done just
certain-
that. Take a look right here.
Yeah. That's the thing. They added the SO file there. So why not upload the rest of the rebuild of the game? It seems like a waste. They went through the trouble of rebuilding the whole game, clearly.
Oh,
so why didn't they upload that?
Let me explain to you what they're
that-
doing. They're looking for a
or
reason.
are they...
Any reason. The smallest, tiniest reason they can find to go, see, we were right. It's fucked up.
I think they're all done eating crow now.
No.
So it's
Just
like,
get-
fine, whatever. You go.
Yeah, as much as I enjoy Fat Shark just publicly eating shit, I do actually want to play Vermintide 2. It's been sitting in my library for a very, very long time, and I like Left 4 Dead style games, and this is just Left 4 Dead with swords. The first one was fun. I want to try number 2 and see if it's any better. I will say though, like, all jokes aside, this would be like one fucking hell of a success story to be like, yeah, no, we thought it would be really difficult, but then we just added it and then it just
All
worked.
they need to do is actually come out and said, look, we were wrong. Valve called us out on it. We've tried the thing, and yes,
No.
if you're on
You're
Linux, you
confusing-
can play this with
you
Proton
are absolutely confusing what they need to do versus what you want to fucking hear.
Absolutely. Like if Pride didn't get out of the way, I'm just saying like they could have turned that into a big win for them. They could be like, we're the poster child for EAC, man. We're great.
They could, but I mean, yeah, exactly. There's going to be some pride fucking with you right there. That little touch, that twinge in the back of your brain. What's going to happen is like if this works out, and they're like, you know what, money. Okay, we'll enable it. Did you even make a mention of it? Nope. Shit's enabled. Go fuck off. Go play with the nerds.
Yep. Well, they know we're watching it, so they don't even need to announce it.
There might be that. Blast from the Past, the game developer sent us copies of a long time ago. When was this? Couple of years now, 3 years ago, yeah. Ion Fury was using the Duke, the build engine, right? Yeah, that was rock and roll. And I mean, it was very, very retro at the time, and it was kind of fun because it was genuinely built. All the levels, not art assets, but the levels and everything were done in that old school way. You know, it wasn't like hipster pixel retro. It was the real deal. And I didn't mind it. But 3 years later, we're getting a new expansion, Aftershock, 13 new levels, an entirely new weapon, new inventory items, and several new enemy and ammo types, new skill level. You can cut it up to 5, whatever that means. I barely play it. I'm like, don't kill me. And I still died a lot. And brand new mix-up mode. So it's going to like reshuffle enemy placement and all that in the original campaign. And I thought that was kind of neat because I had fun with that for a minute. You know, you get the nostalgia thing going on. And you're like, oh, I remember playing these. Oh, this was fun. Oh, that's kind of weird. Look at the guys. They're not really 3D. And I'm standing on top of them. Look how long I can make them. Then you realize that games have evolved in the last 30 years. So maybe I'm just going to be done with this and be done with that. Pedro, have you played it on your deck?
No. Ion Fury, I guess I wasn't as much of a nostalgia thing. I didn't have as much of a nostalgia thing for Duke Nukem. I played it when I was very, very young, far younger than the age rating would have liked me to. But yeah, it was absolutely more Duke Nukem with a different protagonist. You had a lady voice giving you the quips instead of what's the dude's name?
John St. John.
John St. John. Mm-hmm. Yes,
which is absolutely a porn star name. Like that guy should be.
It is. But yeah, Ion Fury. It's a very good game. Don't get me wrong, but it's not. I was kind of meh on it.
You're too young to enjoy it.
I'm 35.
Yeah, I know. You're a baby. I understand.
I'm like a sperm here, man.
Technically, yeah. It's like a fever dream that got out of hand. Retro games, since we're on that, Skullgirls came out before the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a much more modern retro, and that is one that I played a lot. All of the characters... Back in the day, I finished the story campaign on, I think it was very difficult. It's the difficulty level below Nightmare, because I'm not that much of a no-life. But yeah, all the characters are very difficult.
I remember playing the mode where I just got my ass handed to me for about 45 minutes and I quit playing it.
Yeah, that was the tutorial. That was like the training mode when I just set the guy to just punch and I couldn't block a single one.
Right. Yeah, that was the mode I remember from the game. Yeah. I was like, I am too old for fighting games.
As you may remember, the original development team was called Lab Zero, and there was a very big snafu that happened with that. And so the developers decided, you know what, we're just going to walk out. We're going to leave the Lab Zero name behind because we don't want anything to do with that. And I'm very, very happy to see that they're back and they've put all that BS behind them. And they're continuing to develop Skullgirls, which the second encore is now available. There's a beta mode update that you can opt into, and it's very good to see. There is a lot of technical stuff that they've changed, specifically for characters and for individual moves in characters. They go into the details of all of them.
If you're a fighting game player, it matters to you. Otherwise, I'm dead apparently.
You lost that fight, Jordan.
I did. Yeah, am I back alive? Hey, I'm back.
Oh no! Oh, that's awesome.
Oh man, damn it, Jitsi. I was just gonna say, like, yeah, it's common fighting game stuff that, like, yeah, unless you're really into it and you know all the frame timings and shit. God damn it! It's not working. All right, I'll deal with that later. But yeah, there's also a new character. They are almost finished. Umbrella. So that's going to be added in here as well. Yeah, it's no longer a lab 0. It's a hidden variable. That's the name of the new developers.
All right. I would argue a not as cool name as Lab 0.
Oh, Civic, the guy who ported Skullgirls is in chat. Hey, Civic.
Oh, look, it's the volunteer.
Hello, volunteer. So yeah, that's going to do, that is it. Boom.
Yeah, that's all right. Coming up next, we're going to talk about AMD letting you install new CPUs on your motherboards, but the motherboard manufacturers, they got other plans.
Aha, money.
Yeah, no, I was staring at my
Put
deck.
your dick up.
Not that one.
God damn it.
Stop playing games and focus on Linux gaming journalism, Pedro.
Yeah, no, I was looking at my Linux gaming device and I got distracted a little bit. Right. The news will be coming up, but before we get to that, we need to thank you,
I just
everyone.
thought of something, man. Have you like taken it? You've taken several pictures of your Steam Deck, right?
Yes.
Have you sent a couple?
Mostly
more?
because I can be asked to figure out what the shortcut is to take screenshots.
Why don't you send a couple to Nori?
Some unsolicited deck pics.
Yeah.
Well, listen. If you want to help post Pedro's bail after he does that, you can help us out. You can head on over to patreon.com/LinuxGamecast. 500 episodes, man. It's still fucking surreal. I look at that number and I'm like, no, we started like 2 years ago, right? Like this is some podunk dog and pony shit.
That's because you don't edit these motherfuckers.
Exactly. Listen, they call me talent because that's what
Right,
I'm a star. No, but we really do appreciate the support. It's been a fucking crazy decade, literal decade.
A decade. Oh. Yeah,
a decade. That's the show title. Decade anniversary. And, well, not quite, but we really do appreciate the support. So if you head on over to patreon.com/LinuxGamecast, become a Patreon, you get a bunch of cool stuff. We keep trying to give back. You get access to our Discord channel, which you can also get by subbing to us on Twitch. You can, for higher level donation tier, you can get access to the show notes. You can even buy your way into the goddamn show. Coming up soon, Strider's going to be there. And if you want to be in that little box where we trap Strider and occasionally feed him a hot dog for sustenance, you can
if you try to feed
donate
Strider
to
a hot dog, you'll fucking bite you, man. Don't.
That's what I want, though. I want to be the Were Strider.
He will judge you for your hot dog cooking.
In Discord you can listen to the pre super shows, and it's that thing we do an hour before we go live here at 7:30. You can listen to it on Discord. If you're executive producer, you get a custom video feed. That's pretty cool.
Speaking of the big pre-show, after show, and all that, that's available to you in podcast format because you get a customized RSS feed over at patreon.com. I always like to mention that because if you need 4 hours of some shit to listen to, we got you.
If you need a wall of sound, but we got some patrons we got to thank on this auspicious 500th episode. We got to thank Pebble for increasing their pledge, and Olav Hope sent Gustavo Fring over to Ven. Right?
Yes,
is that the Far Cry you got?
And that looks like it's going to be interesting. I want to give a shout out to Pebble. I saw your message in Discord, and it was like trying to reorganize everything, and so Pebble increased their pledge. Thank you very much for that. That's all together. We got merch. We got stores. If you want to put us on your body, we got the shirt thing. We do that. Decent quality, reasonably priced.
They changed the site.
What? They did? Where?
Maybe not. Maybe the layout looks a little different.
Okay. Anyway, don't let the new layout of the site that is possibly in front of you scare you away.
They
from
changed the font.
Yes. I don't know, man. And
the change scares me.
You can always head over to linuxgamecast.com, smash that support button, and everything's there. Bitcoin, wish lists, and merch, PayPal's. What?
There's one spot right behind Ven's head that's still available. If you wanna get on there, you gotta buy some stuff off of Ven's Wish Zone.
Maybe.
Yeah.
If you have a very short name, then go for it.
You better have like a very expensive URL if you're going to be trying to pull that game. Like one of those like tiny
URL /
oh right,
boobies. Yeah,
forget about that.
Yeah, no. Even if it's like Bitly, it's part of it's always going to be covered by Vin's head.
Or it could be the Google shortening service that I started using because like Google never killed it.
Geo.gl. Yep.
They killed it. And I'm just like, man, you know what? I'm out. Thanks for your support. Share the show. If you like it, tune into us live. Listen to us later in podcast format. And we'll be back for episode 501, possibly with a brand new Ryzen 3 powered. What? Pedro? No.
Brand new Pedro.
We just got a duck for this one.
We got the 2020. We got like the 2020 model. We need the 2022.
But we can.
I want those. I want the heated leather seats.
You know what they smell like when they come out of the box?
Ass. I know. That's why I want
my
them.
soft skin.
He thinks it's skin. It's so cute.
It was skin at one point.
But it's
that's for sure.
Check this out. Maybe you're in a situation like I am. You're looking at this new Ryzen, Zen 3 type shit's going down. You're like, oh man, that looks tight as hell. All right. So maybe it's time to start saving. Why? Because you got a B350, you got a B300 motherboard that you bought, like right when Ryzen came out. You're being price conscious. You're like, I don't need the big YOLO boards and whatever. I just put, I got a 1700 or something like that, popped it in there. You're good to go. In fact, let's be honest with it. You're still good to go because it pretty much is going to do anything that you need it to do, but you still want to taste that new hotness. And the biggest and baddest that you can do on the 300 chipsets, I think is the 3400G. Or the 8-core, what was it, 2100? Was that what it was?
2400.
2400. Was that 8-core 16-thread?
No, that was also a quad-core 8-thread.
Okay, well, I'm talking about like the 8-core 16-thread part for the 300 series, I think is the 2100 plus.
That's the 30, that's the 2800, 2900, something above that?
The original Zen 1.
Oh, Zen
2700X. That might be it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was N plus, but yeah.
That was still the second revision. But whatever.
Oh,
The point is, it's a couple years old if you want to upgrade what you got already. But now maybe not so much.
Nope, still old. Throw it away. Check this out. AMD will support Ryzen 5000 CPUs on 300 series motherboards. That's right. Not making this up. You too can go, thank you, Intel. It's all because of you. Because Intel walked out and started releasing all these value-oriented, don't call it budget, or Intel will come kick a bitch, reasonably priced, lower-end CPUs. AMD's like, shit, we got to do something about that. Hey, were we just fucking with them when we said we couldn't? Oh, we were? All right, cool. All right. So don't get excited too much yet. You can't, because yes, this would allow you to put newer model, even Zen 3 into a 300 series motherboard, like a B350. It's still going to be up to the motherboard manufacturers, and which means the motherboard manufacturers would much rather sell you a brand new motherboard to go along with that new CPU. But if you are in the situation where you're like, you know what, I'd like a speed bump right now, but I don't want to replace the whole damn system. That's too much work. It's not even a cost thing. I just don't want to be asked building a new PC right now, but I'll swap the brain box out. That shouldn't be too bad. This could help you out. So yeah. What are we looking at? Even if they do support it, like MSI is kind of dangerous. MSI doesn't let you roll back BIOS, UEFIs. We're just always going to call them BIOS. And so if you do update in your situation, especially with MSI, maybe it makes things a little squirrely. You're like, oh no, it's stability issues. So what do? You put back in your old CPU back in, and it's still squirrely because everything's not hammered out. So keep that in mind. There could be some dangers there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Also, like your newer CPUs are going to have newer features that the older motherboards aren't going to be able to take advantage of. You may actually get degraded performance just because of some other stupid bullshit we can't reasonably predict right now.
RAM speeds.
I guess this is good because like a lot of people are living that APU life now, right? Mm-hmm. And giving people some more upgrade options, limited as they may be. It's still an option, right? So. Like Ben said, it's kind of on the MOBO manufacturers to see if they're feeling particularly charitable.
100% it is, but I mean, this would let somebody with a 300 series motherboard throw the CPUs that either of you have in there.
Yes,
I was already running that 3700X on a B350. That works fine. But if you have a 5000 series, that's a big difference. And there's a lot of people. I've been keeping an eye on PC Part Picker to see what people are building. And there's a lot of people building stuff with the 5700G and the 5600G without a GPU, because for the past 2 years, neither AMD nor NVIDIA really wanted people to buy their graphics cards. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people built GPU systems.
I'd like a 5900X. That would be nice. I could use my resizable bar on my motherboard and video card that support it.
I want a 5900X. It's finally getting close to the 400 pound mark. It's like, come on.
I don't have these aspirational dreams. What I don't like right now is like there's a lock-in on the 3400G because they don't make them anymore, and the people that got them, they've realized that like shit, that's a 4-core 8-thread with Vega 10. Like shit, you can kind of play games on it. So those things like $250, $300. That market's gonna crumble now. I'm just like, yes, let it rain.
Oh yeah, now you can get the 3,000.
Right. And I'm going to be sitting here going, I'll give you $50 for it.
I mean, it's a good time to fuck around with GameScope and Mesa.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yes, anything that makes computing more accessible, I'm all for. And this is AMD helping
Speaking of open source, AMD FSR.
They finally done it. If you've followed the mainstream gaming news this week, the other thing that you read that wasn't about the Steam Deck or Elden Ring was probably this: AMD's Fidelity FX Super Resolution 2.0. They're finally improving it, and they're very clear to say this doesn't require any machine learning. It doesn't require any of the stuff that the competitor is doing. This is CPU. The high quality anti-aliasing, upscaling, just improved from what it was. And the big one here is like pictures in motion. If you're looking at the little slidey thing that Ven is playing with on video, you can see that it's a bit blurrier. Yeah, it's a bit blurrier with the.
Are you spying on me? No.
FSR. But this
is Ben's backyard. Yeah.
That's Arena. Probably going to be the best case scenario right there, which is very good. That actually looks very, very good. And yes, it is open source. It's there. So I look forward to it. I very much do.
Yeah, I can't really tell the difference here. And I guess that's really the point, right? Like, if it can look prettier with lower system requirements, then mission accomplished. Again, people are living that APU life. It's impossible to get like a decent GPU without taking another mortgage on your house. I for one look forward to this getting shoved into GameScope and or Proton GE. It's going to be good.
I think it is very interesting, and I'm glad that they included a video. They'll be linked to everything in our show notes. Go check that out, because you see the static slides, and I'm guilty of this too, doing DLSS, making the slides for like Wolfenstein and Tomb Raider and stuff like that. It doesn't do it justice. You got to see it in motion, because your brain fills in all kind of extra shit when things start moving versus a static image. So it's good that they made a video showing it what it's really going to look like. And I'm with you, Jordan. Like, yeah, it kind of looks the same, man. I mean, maybe if I wanted to like pause the video and like get up on it, like maybe there's a difference. It's kind of the point though, because like if they can deliver like similar looking stuff with like lower system requirements, then they've kind of accomplished what they set out to do. So to this day,
lower system requirements and lower power consumption.
Not sold on ray tracing. However, DLSS with I think the first time I got a hold of it was in Youngblood, and more so in Doom, the more recent Doom. Able to play it at UHD 2160p on a 2060, just max the hell out. And yes, is there a difference? Yes, if I pause it and I have another image to hold next to it and go, oh yeah, see right there in that corner? Yeah, that one. When that's in motion, you can't fucking tell. So I'm sold on this, whoever implements it. Now, one thing I do want to point out, unlike FSR, this is going to take some work on the developer side to implement per game.
So they can't do it globally.
Right, you're not going to have that GameScope YOLO button. So
I mean, maybe they can hack something in. I don't know. Like FSR 1.0 is going to be a good fallback, at least.
Yeah, it probably won't look as good as if it's per in-game implementation, because that's still a shortcoming in the first one, because it's actually applying FSR to the entire frame that's being displayed on screen, including the HUD elements.
Well, here's one of the downsides of this is AMD's not cutting checks like NVIDIA is cutting
That's
checks.
They're doing it's like community go.
Well, here's what I'm going back to is the per game implementation. When you're a studio and AMD is like, hey, implement this. Like, how much are you going to pay me? I'm like, what? And they're like, well, NVIDIA said they'd give us money if we do this. You're not going to pay us to do this?
NVIDIA will fly a person to your office to fucking do it for you. That's kind of where NVIDIA's at right now. So yeah, I don't know. Look forward to seeing how this develops for sure.
It's not going to stop me from hacking you though, baby.
Oh, those damn Linux users. They're a bunch of cracker-jacker hackers. Yeah, and now that you can do it more easily than ever with TuxTrain, a easy-to-use generic trainer for Linux written in Rust, as it always is. Yeah, so this guy started working on it because he wanted to play Elden Ring at 60 frames a second, and the game would not let you do that. So he started working on a generic memory trainer to allow you to, read values out of memory, write new values to memory. There is a giant fuck you disclaimer in here. Danger disclaimer bears repeating. If you get VAC, EAC, whatever banned while using this is your own fucking fault. But that said, it's very neat. They have a lot of cool options for auto start and configuration. It looks very, very easy to actually set up. And given the format, it should be easy to trade around the trainer files so that you can get whatever modifications you want. This is like next level game sharking, but I mean, like if you want like infinite magic in Elden Ring or something, or I don't know, whatever reason you would want to hack a game in running memory, you can go do it.
Now, I want to go ahead and throw out one small correction. You said he wanted to play at 60. In fact, he wanted to play above 60. He wanted to run at 120
without unlocked frame rate. That's the big one, which is something you don't want to do in From Software games.
That's a little funky with the physics.
Oh yeah,
it says
like
it on the
clipping
label,
through
right
the
under,
floor flunky. Yeah,
right under where it says Japan. That's how you know that the physics are tied to frame rate.
But yeah, no, don't make a GUI. I'm usually one of the first ones to say, yeah, you're releasing a Linux piece of software, make a GUI for it. Not this one. I really don't want that kind of attention. No.
I mean, listen, if we're ever going to achieve parity with Windows, we're going to need tools like this.
We really don't need shit engine for Linux. Please.
What
I don't want to give developers any more FUD.
Pedro, this is the only way I can beat you in shooters. Why wouldn't I do it?
I don't know. And yeah, pro tip, do not use this with anything with EAC. You know, again, he could have shortened that to fuck around and find out. Because if you're far enough in to where you're looking for something like this, and a trainer, you mean a cheater. That's what it is. I mean, it's just a cheat.
Yeah, maybe unplug the network cord before you turn it on, just to be extra certain.
Yeah, offline mode only. Seriously, please.
But you know
can
what?
You run it on the Raspberry Pi?
You probably could, especially with like back then, man. You didn't have to worry about cheats. We had IDDQT and IDKFA.
Yeah, the cheats came with the game.
But if you want to use those cheats, and chances are you probably already have, well, you can do it on the Raspberry Pi Pico. Yeah, the microcontroller, that one. Someone has actually gone through the trouble, and there's the blog post by Eben Upton to, it's like, yeah, this crazy, what was his name? Graham,
yep.
Has decided to, let's get Doom working on the Pi Pico. And there are some limitations. The game is actually running at 320 by 200 with an 8-bit frame, but there's double buffering happening, so you actually get a higher resolution, which is impressive by itself.
Yeah, it's 1024 by, or 1280 by 1024.
1280 by 1024, yeah. So it is impressive. It is genuinely impressive that it's a microcontroller. It's an Arduino, effectively.
You get done doing that. You get done looking, and you're looking at your, and you're like, you know what? I could probably make networking through this I2C controller. I have a couple of spare pins left over.
Yeah, and it's up to 4 players if you just fucking pin, if you daisy chain a couple Pico. Yeah. Also coming in at just 2 megabytes for all of the code end level. There's some crazy compression shit. In the blog post, like there are like sub articles where he goes in depth into like, oh yeah, no, we had to make sure that the output was like synced, otherwise, blah blah blah. It's crazy.
And
yeah.
Well, I mean, you're talking about you can now play Doom, and these things cost $1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dollar a Doom at vending machines.
I still want that like $15 handheld that person made. It's like, yeah, if I only made one, it would have cost $150. But since I bought enough parts to make 1,000 of them, they cost 15. So it's like, yeah, no, this is this kind of crazy right here.
The minimum viable computer. Yeah.
Also, pro tip, just because you bought 2 and you got them networked, don't take them on a flight, you and your friend.
Oh yeah, that's going to be fun to explain to airport security. No, it's TSA Doom over I2C.
Yeah, right? Really? That's why you
really. Here's your ticket to Guantanamo.
Because that looks like a bomb.
Oh man, yeah. Well, coming up next, we're gonna see if we can touch decks. It's gonna be real sexy. Welcome back to a very auspicious chairquisition, because it's not just any chairquisition. For episode 500, we got to do it special. We got to do it right. It's the fucking deckquisition, and right now we have 3 Steam Decks amongst the 4 of us. Joining us is one Matthew Corbandon, Strider, the creator of Lutris. Matthew Corbin Dallas, protagonist of The Fifth Element. How is the diva Plava Laguna? How's her voice doing after you pulled out all those rocks from her? We have a bunch of Steam Decks on hand now, and we figured episode 500 now's a good time to sort of talk about the new Valve hotness. Reflect on how far we've come, ask a bunch of questions, see how well they fare against a drop test from various Strider heights, maybe even a Pedro height. We'll find out. But yeah, so I guess Strider.
Well, here's a couple of things. You might know Strider. You've seen him around. He's been doing this thing. It's called Lutris. He's been hanging out with it. I know you got Windows 95. Quit showing that off. All right, we're sick of it. He's been doing that the entire before we went live. He's like, look how cool it is. It makes the sounds. It's got Windows. Sick in my stomach. But hey, Lutris.net. I got that right. Didn't I? Wrong button. Ha.
Wrong button. Welcome back to the chairquisition.
Lutris.net. And that's where you can do the. I mean, Lutris has been around for a long time, Matthew. How long have you been doing Lutris? It's been a minute.
It started like in 2009, around that. I was experimenting with games on Linux before that, but yeah, when I found the name and set up the project and everything, that was 2009.
2009. So it's been like 6 or 7 years now, and
don't fuck with me like that, Ben. My heart can't take it anymore.
No, I thought it would be great. I mean, you did the thing that we neglected to do. You reached out to Valve and you're like, hey, can I get a development kit? And Valve was good, right?
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, I regret not doing that sooner, because that's something I've thought about doing. And then it was like, okay, well, I'm just going to be patient, and it's not going to take that long and everything. Then I was for Q3. My reservation was for Q3 because, like, on the 16th, like I woke up a few hours too late, so I got my reservation pushed back all the way, like, for a month. Then there was I had so one of the Lutris contributors who makes the Lutris wine build had a reservation for much earlier, and I asked him if I could use his deck, because so he is in Russia right now, and since everything is blocked in Russia and he couldn't pay for his deck and couldn't get the unit shipped to his place, then he asked me to just like buy it and then ship it to him, like when it's possible to do so. So, and I was like, okay, can I use your deck for development and testing and everything? And like at first he was like unsure about this, and we talked about it a bit, and then he was like, oh, why don't you just ask a deck from Valve? I mean, they'll probably send one. I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
well,
that's interesting because we saw Alex, the developer of Project Heartbeat. He kind of just like asked, and lo and behold, they sent him one in pretty short order. So I think it was kind of surprising. I imagine you thought that it would probably be a bit more of a process. You'd have to like justify your case, but then they're just like, here's the Steam Deck.
No, I mean, you just got to realize it. Like doing this, like, why would they ever send me a deck? They probably just send you a deck, man. I'm like, yeah, here's your deck. Thanks for asking. Have fun with it. Now, I want to get through some history, though.
All right, sure.
I do, because I think all three of us were here in our Discord the day that Valve announced a thing called Proton.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say
I didn't.
I wouldn't say you had a positive reaction.
I didn't believe it at first because I was like, I mean, Proton, that was basically what I was doing with Lutris.
Right.
And I was not, it wasn't something that Valve, someone as big as Valve would do, because at that point it was still like not as stable as what Proton and Wine is today.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, it's not possible that Valve would do that. It's not stable enough. It's something that's okay for Lutris to do, but Valve, really? I mean, they would run games with Wine.
Who would offer a wine thing on their client? Really?
Well, but I mean, then we did find out that like, oh yeah, they'd been funneling money to like Datsujin and Joshi, and they're like, yeah, get this DirectX stuff running under Linux. So.
Well, I mean, Stray, you got a good point there. I mean, when that was announced, we didn't really have DXVK, we didn't have D9VK, or what has become of
We did. It was very
early days. Okay,
yeah.
Yes, we did, because I remember trying BioShock 2 on that. It technically worked.
Yeah,
we didn't have any type of shader caching like what we have now, and
no, it's a lot more mature of a solution. Like Strider said, it went from like a very immature like thing that like an open source project can get away with doing to like a fairly like publisher focused effort, because we have guys like Square and whatnot going to code weavers to make sure that their games are running okay online. We have Valve doing the Elden Ring stuff, right? Like, yeah.
Man, do you think that people from Software are like irritated that somebody found a way to make their PC port not trash?
I think they're ecstatic that they don't have to try
I think
anymore.
they loved it because it's like the fourth time that they've had that happen. So it's fine.
I think they go out of their way to smite the PC player base, and they're like, "What are you doing? This is our thing."
so yeah. I guess flash forward a couple of years later, Proton has developed at like light speed practically every week. We're talking about like new games that we're running, and I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about that progress so far, and what do you think about how it culminated in the Steam Deck proper as like a handheld? As a
I think like the first question you want to get into is how's Proton supporting Lutris? Because I'm unfamiliar. I'm not read up. I know for a minute it worked with Proton, it used Proton, now it doesn't, or it does again.
So basically what we have in Lutris is basically Proton. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it's cut into several components where Proton is its own package. There's a few differences in Lutris versus Proton. That means that we cannot use Proton out of the box, so you have to use Wine. And so GE Glorious Eggroll made a Lutris Wine build. That's Lutris GE. That is basically Proton for Lutris. So if you're looking for, I mean, already what we have, like Lutris Wine, is pretty close to Proton. It's just that we ship DXVK, VKD3D, and all those things separately in their own like runtime components, whereas like Proton is its own package.
Makes sense.
And there's also some other stuff. There's also like a patch set that's in Proton. There's also like a Wine base that's used for Proton. That's not necessarily the same. We use for Lutris, we use Wine staging, Wine TKG. I'm not sure like what's the status for. I know that GE Switch is recent Proton builds from like Wine staging to
Proton Experimental.
Proton Experimental, yes. So yeah, there's like not a lot of differences when I test like even like if you tweak things a little bit, you can still get like old versions of Proton running and Lutris. Because there was also this like pressure vessel thing where Valve moved a bunch of things to pressure vessel, and then Proton wouldn't run anymore on Lutris. That was like the big.
I remember that you had to like set a bunch of environment variables to like tell Proton where it needs to look. Right, that was that, or was that something else? I remember those steps in the Wine GE or in the Proton GE README. Speaking of though, like, what do you think there's ever going to be a time where like Lutris wine and like Proton wine, that distinction doesn't need to exist, or do you figure like they have like slightly different goals they want to accomplish? Because you mentioned that like Lutris GE is a little more modularized because you want to be more of a generic solution if you want to like use the wine D3D versus VK D3D, or et cetera, right? Depending on the game.
Yeah, but at some point I would like to have at least Lutris being able to use Proton, which should be pretty easy. It's just I haven't looked into it. I've just been told, like mostly by Tanis, who helped me like getting the wine builds out, told me like that's okay. We're not like Lutris is not compatible with Proton, but on the other hand, we have like the Heroic launcher, which does use Proton. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just have to look what the Heroic launcher is doing and basically like fix Lutris so it can use Proton as well. What is like Bottles, I think, is capable of using Proton as well. I'm not sure. I know that Bottles is able to use the Lutris wine, but I'm not sure about Proton. Anyway, there's not a lot.
Finds all of them, yeah.
Yeah, that's not a lot of difference between Proton and wine. I mean, Proton is just a wine build with some extra steps to it. Like there's some, as you said, environment variables so that everything can be found in it. But at the end, it's like the same thing, basically.
So I guess here's the question, because we all want to know, like, what's the experience of Lutris on the deck 1 week later? Because I remember last week you're talking about how like with the whole Flatpak setup, you can install Lutris on the deck, but when they do an update, it'll get wiped out. Have you made any progress on Flatpakking Lutris? Is it all?
So not yet. So that's the next goal. Once I release 05.10. So that's the next release. That's planned for really soon. Once that's out, I'll focus on the Flatpak and fixing all the issues that are on the Flatpak. And right now, I've not tested Lutris, but I've tested like other stuff. Like for example, like Chrome. For example, I've noticed like an issue with Chrome, and I don't want to have this issue. And apparently,
did you try Edge?
Not yet. That's what I want. I mean, seriously, I think Edge has the edge in this case. It has the edge because
that's a controversial take.
Man, I'm a bit shocked that you're putting like the Flatpak priority. So you're going to do the Snap package after, right?
No, I mean, there's not really a plan for snaps because like no one is using the Snap, but.
I had to ask. Somebody was going to be like, what about snaps?
I mean, if only there was some sort of gaming product manager who could have like better interfaced with the gaming community.
Okay, hang on. This is out of left. Did anybody see that post on our Linux with the application process from Canonical?
No.
Oh, dude, they were like, what were your fondest high school memories? And I was like, that's a good way to indirectly ask how old someone is now, isn't it? You can't really do.
Tell us you're a Zoomer without telling us you're a Zoomer, right?
So Strider, you already mentioned the Flatpak is coming after the next version. Do you have an ETA on that? Because I went through the process of setting Lutris on the deck yesterday, and
wait, hang on, this is a good opportunity. How is Lutris on the deck? Here's some direct feedback from Pedro. No, you can trust Pedro.
I told Strider yesterday how I felt about it, because currently, if you want to install Lutris in the way that it actually works, you need to disable read-only. You need to set the file system to read-write, and then you have to either use Pacman to install the Linux version from the repos, or you use Yay to pull the Lutris Git and install it from the AUR, or you build it yourself. Either way, you're not getting out of it without setting a password, so you can use sudo, and then setting up Pacman, and then setting up everything else that's not really set up out of the box because it's not meant to be used.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay,
It's a development version. You're trying to get a development version of something that's not yet released, so you're going to have to jump through some hoops. That said,
I clicked the Flatpak on Discover. So
yeah, and the Flatpak was never got any approval from our team. It's just that some people started making the Flatpak and working on it. I've never approved it. I know it has issues. I'm telling people not to use it, but I'm finishing what I have to do with like this release, and then I'm basically going to take over this project. I'm going to
cool.
to go like under the GitHub, like the Lutris Flatpak GitHub, and say, okay, I'm the boss now. I'm taking over.
I'm the. You're just gonna Captain Phillips this? Like I'm the captain now.
I'm commandeering the ship.
He's going to straight to the Lutris.
Exactly.
So
it's my project.
So speaking of, because like Flatpaks are a feature that are kind of critical to running on the deck. Now that you've used it, do you have any like ideas for like deck specific Lutris improvements? Has anything sort of crystallized now that you've actually like spent some time with it?
So I've kind of switched my priorities, how we would integrate with the deck, and the way the deck works with how you switch from desktop to the deck UI, and you have to log out to do that. I don't think that was the case. I'm not sure it was the case for the old SteamOS. SteamOS 2.
The old SteamOS, you had two different users, one for the desktop and one for just Steam.
You had to switch. You had to switch.
I thought
you switched users between the two. Yes,
that's
I thought the whole idea was like you were able to like drop to a desktop, but I guess they don't let you do that.
Yes, you could drop into a desktop, but it was a different X session with a different user.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Okay, that's strange.
Well, that falls into that's one way to do it category.
Yeah.
Which is why I always set up just SteamOS session on any other distro because I didn't want to go through that. As
a gaming device, because I've seen you were testing out God's Fall. You were playing Vampire Survivors. You mentioned
that's all he's playing is Vampire Survivors. That's it.
Shush! Don't throw the man under the bus just yet. We got to lull him into a false sense of security.
About the game on the deck, so I couldn't play it before because I bought it on the device.
Oh yeah, but I mean like as a gaming device, what's your read on it? Like, yeah, it's a cool developer toy, but as like an actual like fun toy, how is it?
Oh, I'm going to have
the
to
wrong
admit
guy,
something.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to admit something. It didn't get a whole lot of use as a developer tool. I mostly have used it to play with.
Very good.
I haven't used the desktop mode that much at all, or haven't plugged it into an external screen more than like 10 minutes, maybe. It's been mostly I've been playing on my couch with like mostly Steam games. Yeah.
Have you run into anything yet where like you have to swap like Proton versions? Has that been an issue, or is everything kind of just fairly nicely out of the box?
I've had games where I had to switch from native Linux to Proton. Like Scanner Sombre was one. I had some input issues at first with the native ports, and when I switched to Proton, it was better. What game was better with Proton? Pixel Boy something. It's like a roguelike.
Pixel Boy in like the Magic Dungeon or something.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
Or am I thinking of like Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap? Because that's
that's not. That's a different thing.
It's
okay, here's like a real thing to think about, though. I mean, we've all seen all the decks all over YouTube from the perspective of, hey, what's the user experience like from somebody coming from Windows? Let's just be honest. That's pretty much 100% of the reviews that have come out. you know how to Linux, I assume, Matthew. Either that or you've had me fooled for the past decade. Have you run into any stumbling blocks of like, this is weird, even from a Linux perspective? Like, why did they do this? Or, oh, this was a bit tricky to pull off.
No, nothing was really weird. Like, there's something that surprised me is not really a Linux thing, but the display is rotated 90 degrees. So it's actually like that's the display. If you showed something on the deck without anything going on, it would be this way. So if you flash your BIOS, then you will have like this vertical screen. Then
It's
you
a
have
tablet screen.
Yeah, it's touchscreen and everything. The touchscreen works pretty great.
How is
Wait
it
a
in terms
minute.
of like mouse?
I got
mouse
a real
movement?
question.
Like,
It doesn't auto-rotate? Because I wanted to pretend it was an Atari Lynx and flip it upside down.
Once you load into the OS, it does. But yeah, like Strider was saying, if you're say in the BIOS, it's in portrait mode, and that's it.
Oh,
does it flip when it's in desktop mode though?
yeah, right?
Yes.
No, it doesn't flip automatically. No, it doesn't do like the flip. The flip.
No,
You
it doesn't have
to-
an accelerometer. It
Right.
has the gyro
I mean,
built in, but
it
it's not set up.
has a gyro.
It has
Yeah.
a gyro, yes. But it not like that. You have to actually go and set the rotation yourself if you want.
Pedro, I'm not 100% of that. Throw yours at the wall. Let's see what happens.
No.
Have you managed to get like another version, like a GE running on there yet, or still with the read-only file system? Still no dice.
Oh, I've disabled the read-only file system. Like that was one of the first thing I've
Step
done.
one.
Was
Yep.
and I'm not even sure that you need the dev mode. I think it just needs the Btrfs flag disabled to enable like Pac-Man and everything.
Because
then you
yeah,
set
because
yourself-
go.
Yeah, I mean it's a Linux device. So if you have a Linux device and you don't, if you shy away from setting a password and doing those things, I mean, is it really a Linux device?
You can pretend. Listen. Jordan,
I mean,
Jordan can call you again, and your Windows sound will go off, and you pretend it's Windows.
Oh, wait,
Can I
might
call
have
you and
been-
order a pizza?
No, because I have to make the pizza dough, and it will take like a long time.
Here's a question for you. Or okay, who was first? Has either of you SSH'd your deck?
I have
No,
enabled
it's-
SSH, yes.
That's something I need
I
to do
haven't
for
tried to.
Lutris. No, it's something that I need to do for Lutris, so I can tell -F the logs,
Mhm.
so I can see what's going on if something is not going right. Okay, so if I'm running games from the deck UI, but with Lutris, like added like a non-Lutris game, then I won't have access to all the logs and everything. So SSH is basically like the right thing, so I can read the logs.
So have you actually like tried to like use it as I guess you mentioned Pedro. Have you tried to use it as like a desktop? Because I know you plugged it into the UHD monitor.
No.
Did you, like,
You need to try to use it as your only desktop for a full month, and we'll make a video about it.
Shush, Linus. We don't have our proprietary streaming platform up yet. We can't do it.
Hi, kids. I'm Canadian all of a sudden. No. But yeah, I did plug it in. I plugged it into the dock. And at first, I just had the 1080p screen. Works fine. And it's like, wait a second. This is a UHD screen. Plug that in. Oh, hello. UHD at 60 hertz. Didn't try playing games on it. But yeah, it does work very, very well.
All right.
It's a quad-core Ryzen system. It works very, very well.
I don't know. How about like, have you played around with any of the modes? We were joking about playing the Elden Ring, trying to play it in 15 FPS mode.
Yeah, no,
I
no,
played
no
at
hit.
30 because I had to see what it did. And yeah.
I had something very weird happen with Street Fighter V, where you enable the frame rate limiter. It actually slows down the game.
Yeah, street like all
They tied the physics to the frame rate.
that's every fighting game though. That's every fighting game. Because you need that for net play for like rollback and stuff. What was I gonna emulation? Let's talk about emulation. Have you
Have you
set up Retro
experienced Street Fighter V online multiplayer?
No, but
Most
I have
people
some
haven't
friends.
either. It never works, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I have friends in the competitive scene. It's basically it's local or bust. If you're on Wi-Fi, then it's fucking game over. But yeah, like speaking of, what about Street Fighter 2? Have you played that on the deck?
I have
Emulation.
Played, not Street Fighter. Oh wait, I did play Street Fighter 2, but on the actually it was Street Fighter 3 because I have the collection, like the 25th
Right.
anniversary.
Oh, right. Yep.
So that's on Steam. So that's a neat little package. I also have like the Capcom arcade with like the final fights and all that stuff.
But like, did you install RetroArch? Did you like boot up some NES ROMs or?
Yes, so I've installed FSUIE on Lutris. Also, I've installed RetroArch, I think. But yeah, I've played some Golden Axe. I've installed MAME as well. I've installed Marvel vs. Capcom or Marvel vs. Street Fighter.
I was creeping around. It looks like the deck can handle PS1, PS2, some PS3 titles. And,
no, it will handle like PS3. It will handle Switch. It will handle like any.
Okay, what I say handle, I mean run performant, and some PS3 stuff is no bueno on that at all. Some games do run, not a problem. Switch doesn't at all. Thank you, Nintendo. Don't take our video down.
If you try to emulate the Switch, the ghost of Miyamoto, he's not dead yet, but it'll leave his body.
Switch emulation on the deck, Nintendo will hit us with a copyright strike
or a lightning bolt.
I was talking about Cisco Switch.
Yes.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Linksys. Linksys emulator.
Benjamin's
You're running
Switch
the other
Pro.
iOS,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Look at all the Pedros up there. Aw.
It's too many Pedros. It's like the Pedro corner.
So here's the thing. When are you going to add Lutris to Steam? I'll give you $100.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you need the $100? We'll pay for that.
I'm not sure it's possible.
Yeah, I just want to see what they do. I mean,
Lutris is, I don't know.
In a flat panel?
I'm not.
They have like Blender and stuff.
Yeah, but Blender doesn't run other software. Blender is its own thing. Blender doesn't download like RetroArch or MAME or Wine and try to run it against.
But RetroArch offers DLC for the other. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, RetroArch does exactly that though. So I mean, it's worth a shot. Worst comes to worst, right? You're at our $100. That's like a dozen tacos, right?
possibly.
I mean, if I can, it's not the problem of putting it on the Steam store. If I can put it on the Steam as a non-Steam game, then it wouldn't be an issue, and I would just like put it on Steam right away.
Flat hub, right? Like that's the solution. But
I'm really not sure if it can be done without any issues. Then yeah, we'll do it. But right now, I'm not sure, and it might require using something other than GTK as well. So maybe using Godot or something, and not.
Oh yeah, you were playing around. Well, you threatened to play around with that. Did you make any progress on that?
Not yet.
All right.
Here's one for the both of you. Now that you've spent some time with it, what do you want in Deck 2 Electric Decaloo?
What do you want the next Steam Deck to have outside of an ice cream holder or something?
Right. and anything it's really missing.
Fold out keyboard would be really, really nice, but that's a me thing.
Get out of here, you hipster.
No, we need to have like the IBM like Model M dock for the Steam Deck.
Oh.
You know you want it.
No, not even.
Go, sorry, Strider. Continue.
I don't know. It's hard to figure out like what would be missing from this. I guess it would have like the next gen Ryzen APU, which is like supposed to be really awesome.
So just beefier hardware. You don't really have any like complaints or issues about the package in total?
Not really. I mean, I don't see what could be changed. Like
bigger
laptop,
battery.
The slide out keyboard. Make it
See, you guys
have
are
a
thinking
bigger
about
battery in it.
accessories. You got to think about this like Valve's looking
Yeah.
at it, man. Do you want a Steam Deck XL or do you want the Steam Deck Mini, the cut down, cost reduced version? Same internals. It's got the power, longer battery life because it's a smaller screen.
No, I don't want
Also that TPM2, baby.
And it runs Windows 11.
Stuff is already hard to read on that screen size, and it's like the right resolution, the right size. If the resolution were higher, then it would make everything unreadable. Like it were like 1080p, then you couldn't read anything. And if the screen
need
was
some
smaller, if the screen was smaller, you couldn't read anything either. So you kind of need this screen size and resolution, otherwise you won't.
Well, hang on. I know Pedro remembers this. What if we, for the Steam Deck, you remember the little clip-on attachment with a magnifying glass that they had for the Game Boy? We could make one of those for the Steam Deck. It just clips over the top.
A big magnifying glass on top of his Steam Deck.
No, there is one. You just have to.
Oh, you're talking about using the software. No, I want an accessory that looks goofy as hell.
I want something that if I point it at the sun, it will melt a hole through my Steam Deck.
A survival accessory.
But
the things I really wanted the most would be like software stuff. Yes, the bigger battery, obviously, but it's software like improvements to Proton. It's actually finding a way to get some games. Some publishers are just going to be asses about it, but yeah, I want that near 100% compatibility. That I want.
So no issues with the form factor, with the weight, anything like that. No, not
really.
No sharp buttons that are like slicing your fingers open. Joystick drift, all that.
My
all that
hands
stuff.
aren't exactly symmetrical, and this thing is actually very, very accommodating because I can actually hit the trigger and the bumper and the face buttons and everything else because everything is right up here. So I can actually hit everything even with just the nubbins. So good job. I mean, I can't hit these two here, but yeah, that's.
I mean, you like you've seen like the one-handed PlayStation controller, right? Like.
Yes, with all the extra paddles.
Yeah, but I mean, now that the stencil files exist for this thing, right? Like we can see all sorts of like crazy Game Boy accessories to this shit. It needs to be that same like yellowing plastic that like it starts off gray and then like 20 years later it looks like Homer Simpson's face. That's that stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Listen, that's going to wrap us up for everything we got going on. And Strider, where can people find you outside of lutris.net when you fix your website? Why is it broken?
It's not broken, is it? Because it breaks sometimes. Don't scare me because it does.
Oh, sysadmin woes. Like, don't you fucking play with me.
Hey, man. Didn't want to take that gamble, did you? No. Lutris.net, patreon.com/Lutris.
And Matthew Commandant on Twitter?
M Commandant on Twitter, yes.
Right.
Is there any parting wisdom? What's the future things for Lutris? What are you working on?
Yeah.
What's coming out next week, this afternoon?
Hopefully 510 or 510 with the ability to add Lutris games to non-Steam games. So I want to get that PR reviewed and merged.
Oh, so it shows up in like the global application list?
No, that's already done. That's already in Lutris. Okay. But so it shows in Steam from the Steam UI.
Yeah.
And
no,
automatically, so you don't have to add it as a non-Steam game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Or no,
so you don't have. Okay. It's basically add non-Steam game to Steam, but in Lutris, like from Lutris instead of going.
Okay.
Because
all right.
Oh, so that's something that's missing from the Steam UI, the Deck UI, is that there's no feature to add a non-Steam game to Steam from the Deck UI. You have to switch to desktop mode and add your game. Otherwise, there's no way to add the game from the Deck UI. So now there will be. You can do it from the deck, from the Steam on the desktop, or from Lutris as well.
Well, now this is kind of curious though, because I mean, when you're thinking about it, well, at least is this like a locked-in, a predictable platform that you can do deck-specific things with? Like that's going to be one of the things Lutris can do. Like, Any other ideas along those lines? Like, there's something I can get away with knowing that this is a static target.
Yeah, there's probably going to be some deck detection going on. And
Detection.
deck detection, yes.
Detection.
And then have some options applied. Maybe so that's like every game installed on the deck would be added as a non-Steam game on Steam, or having like GameScope. And so I'm not sure about GameScope enabling on Lutris, because it's supposed to run like everything on GameScope from the deck UI.
It does.
Yeah, and on the desktop mode, I don't know if I need double GameScope or something like that.
Desktop
complete
mode isn't
GameScope.
using. Desktop mode isn't using GameScope.
So what the deck UI like automatically preprints the GameScope stuff to the launch options regardless, as long as you're launching it through deck.
It's already using it. It's
already-
window manager that's running in the
Right.
background. It's
Right.
GameScope. Yeah.
Right, and then desktop mode is its own like separate thing.
It's
right.
K-Win.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Okay, now I'm starting to make a little bit more sense in my head now. Yeah,
And I had some issues running Quick 3 without GameScope. And it was like that screen issue when it would start rotated. I would have like Quick 3, but vertical.
Skitty. Hey, man,
Oh.
listen, it was authentic. It was in 4x3-ish.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like more like really tall.
You just gotta
But yeah,
turn your head.
once I enabled GameScope, that resolved the issue. So,
Okay.
Instantly, yeah.
So GameScope is mostly living up to its hype.
GameScope is really, really amazing. I have only had the chance to test one game with FSR, because that was the only game that would like display in a mini window. So that was Pandemonium. And that game did the whole like scaling with FSR. That's pretty nice, but we don't see like what FSR looks like on such tiny screen. Like it's
Which is good.
There's not enough
basically
detail.
looks at-
yeah, it's not
it
even-
makes it look
because-
native without actually
it
being
makes it-
like the native resolution. Nice.
Like, if you did some
I guess
upscaling,
that's. Oh,
like bilinear upscaling, that would work. There's a scaler, and you can switch to
Mhm.
bilinear or trilinear. It doesn't make
Yeah, you
that
can actually
big of a
do
difference.
like full integer scaling if you want.
I guess like it's just means that we're gonna be waiting with more bated breath for FSR 2.0 to get implemented in GameScope, because that's coming.
I can see it being useful for if you plug in an external display and you want to play at 1080p,
Oh, yeah.
but the deck doesn't have the horsepower to play at 1080p. Then you use FSR to just upscale that.
Yeah, no, I think for sure that's gonna stretch out the types of games that the.
So
the
Jordan,
deck can
have you
play.
been sold by being surrounded by so much deck?
I feel like the Gaben Bukkake has gone into my eyes and like wriggled its way into my brain, and now my mind womb is pregnant with desires for the deck.
I think it's awesome. I like that they're out there. Hopefully Valve's going to stick with this. We're going to, see deck 2.0 or 2.5 or something along those lines. Personally, I'm probably going to buy that little Nook thing instead of a deck.
Oh, that I wanted to ask. Versus Manjaro and the 5700G, how's the deck compare from a performance perspective? Because
From like the Steam Deck build, the console
the
build.
fake Steam
dev
Deck,
kit.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the GPU inside the deck is so much more powerful. It's really
Even in the power envelope.
yeah. It's not in the same league at all. So
Okay.
I had everything. So that's the thing I'm waiting for now is I want SteamOS to be released as something I can install on that machine I built, like the Manjaro.
Right. And see
That
what
way
the
I
actual
get-
delta is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that way I get SteamOS on an actual PC and with the PC hardware, and then I can do the actual development on that.
Oh, I look forward to seeing that because I'm
that'll be
super interested.
interesting. Do you think you could get Lutris running under WSL?
Yes, the games, I don't know.
I don't know,
Like, it's-
because I just want to see Windows
Lutris
installed
is-
on a deck launching Lutris through WSL.
Running games in Proton.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, running Lutris is not the issue. I've run Lutris on the Nexus 4, but running the games, that's another issue.
I don't know. Are you going to put Windows on it just out of curiosity at some point?
The only Windows I will put will be with like MAME, DOSBox. DOSBox can run like Windows 98 or something.
Confirmed. The first thing
ReactOS.
PCMU as well. PCMU has some good Windows emulation. Maybe a virtual machine.
Yeah, ReactOS, like Jordan was saying, that's pretty good.
It's certified. It's certified on deck now. They said.
I don't have plans to wipe the OS if I don't need to.
You don't intentionally plan on doing it.
You're not installing your illegal hacker operating system on your Linux console,
right?
No, because like what's on the deck right now is well made. It has everything that I need. It has like the deck UI. If I install like any other system, it wouldn't have the deck UI, so it would be like a waste.
But I mean, you would have the freedom and openness of Windows 10.
The what?
I don't know. Listen.
Yeah.
Yes, the openness of Windows. Thanks, Tom's Hardware.
I mean, yeah, you open up Windows and then like air comes in, right? That's how it works. You open Windows.
Maybe in Canada we don't have air here.
We live in a vacuum here in the United States.
You don't live in the void.
you don't live in the vacuum of space.
Don't be voidus.
Fucking plebs. All right, I think that's going to do it.
That's going to run us along. Thanks again, Strider, for being experimental. And head over to lutris.net. Head over to Patreon. Fund the work this wacky kid is doing. That's patreon.com/Lutris. And annoy him in our Discord because that's what I do.
Thanks for showing up, dude.
Yes.
That's what I mean. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next.
Hate mail.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yes, I think that is enough talking about one's deck for a single episode of Linux Gamecast Weekly anyway. Don't worry, there'll probably be more deck talk.
Dirty deck talk.
How dare you talk about like the biggest thing to hit gaming that happens to involve Linux.
I've seen those comments like people on YouTube who are just I'm so tired, it's all deck all the time. So can you talk about something else?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about Elden Ring some more.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure that hasn't been talked to death.
I don't know. I did see the guy. There was a video clip posted because you could see little ghosty shadows in Elden Ring, and the guy was watching a guy who was just hammering on a wall.
Yeah.
Yep. For a long time.
I like all the trolling signs like magic butthole.
Yeah, no, jumping ahead or just claiming there's a secret door where there isn't one. But if you found a secret door in Elden Ring while playing on Linux, or even if you're not playing on Linux, go to linuxgamecast.com, hit the contact button, and fill out the form. LGC Weekly is the topic you want to pick. Otherwise, you can send Ven and Jill some feedback for Wednesday, ask Jordan for relationship advice, and if you're a game developer and would like us to throw some chairs, lawn chairs, yes, at your video game,
if you'd like to come
you
on
can
the show,
absolutely
come
do that.
Bring it. We know how to do it. We have the technology.
Yeah.
Pedro will even wear
but just
red
make sure to
buttons
include
for you.
3 keys.
Push the red button.
3 keys
Pedro.
are nice.
Red buttons.
Push the button.
They match his mouse pad.
His mouth pad.
Mouth pad. Yeah.
Hey, Pedro, open your mouth.
Told you.
Could be a little pinker. All right. Well, we got some feedback from the guy who makes Vangers. Apparently, that's the thing. So Yuri says about Vangers in the alpha branch, we already have 60 frames per second, but because before too many animations and effects were hard coded to 23 frames a second, it's difficult to fix now. Anyways, we're working on a 3D GPU Rust rendering as well. So there you go, Pedro. You can shut the fuck up about it now. The developer has finally answered you specifically. So
yeah, that was something I asked for last week. It's like, okay, I wasn't even asking for 60. It's like 30. Can we at least do 30, please? Because 20,
I mean, it makes sense,
would
right?
have been
Like,
nice, but 60. There we go.
they did like claymation stuff for it, right? So like, I guess they're limited by like how much claymation footage they actually made. So keeping it at 23 frames a second like makes sense from that. Like,
Yep.
Right?
Oh, it does, but you can do frame interpolation. You can have
Oh, you can. Is it going to be like all even weirder and smooth? It's like watching TNG with frame interpolation, and like Brent Spiner moves just like a regular person as Dado.
That would be great. It would be nice and smooth, and you can see it in 60 FPS.
It's going to look like real plasticine.
Let this be a lesson to anybody working on a project right now. Save your code, kids. Save it. No matter if it's a one-off thing.
1998.
Right.
Still working on it.
20 plus years later, somebody will be like, oh, you know what? Let's just put this thing back. Here's, if you happen to still be listening, maybe a mode for people who are just apparently slightly just a little bit colorblind, because that menu, man, that main menu.
Yeah, make the actual entries in the menu not green. I know it's a different shade of green, but not green, please.
a deeper shade of green.
Something, because that thing is still rough to get through on like even a properly color calibrated monitor IPS display with the 98% sRGB. Ooh, yeah. What do we think? It has multiplayer, right? Avengers?
It does. There's a lot of people playing multiplayer, apparently. Well, for considering the game's age. But yes, they actually organize, if you go to their Discord channel, they organize multiplayer sessions so that everyone can get together in the world and shoot each other.
Oh, okay.
I still got to figure out what I'm actually doing in that fucking game.
Oh, I have no idea.
Maybe.
I've got an hour into it. I mean, I've fucked around in
That's
it for an
what
hour.
people. That's the first wall that people run into. It's the only wall in the game, really, because once you figure it out, it's like, oh, okay, right.
Speaking of fucking around online and racing, if you do get a chance, if you are a Twitch sub or a patron, we do Filthy Casuals. That takes place, we're going to be loading up fresh tracks on Tuesday. We get together, go through it, we vote on maps, figure out the ones we like, swap out, get good during the week, and we put our skills to the test every Friday, where the top 3 places win some free games. That's the thing. Plus, there's like a little Joker thing in there with a points match where if you end up in like 7th place or 8th place, you might get like 350 points instead of 20. Just to kind of keep things interesting with people who are really good about going around the track. We invite you to come check that out and play around with it. I will be there this Tuesday doing that nonsense. But I think that's going to wrap everything up. Pedro, let's see your deck one more time.
And no, I'm not taking my pants off.
I said take your pants off.
Don't put pants on your deck, kids. Just don't. It doesn't like it.
Deck.
It doesn't like it. It's inhumane to have pants on your deck. We've been over this. Now, if you want to get a hold of me, just at Vin Stone on Twitter. That's where I'm there, doing the Twitter things. And at Vin at mast.linuxgamecast.com. You can always find me in IRC. You can reply Vin in Discord or Twitch chat, because all that's tied together. Science.
Join me in my new business venture, Deck Pants. I'm also going to be launching on the blockchain too for some neat Deck Pants NFTs.
Oh man, my metaverse, NFT metaverse.
Right, pants for your decks, yes. Man. It's gonna make $1 million. You can follow the business progress on that on Twitter at Burning Fool. Might stream a little bit at twitch.tv/Burning Fool.
And you can find me wondering how a deck would wear pants, like, you know, the dog would wear pants meme. The Full Metal Alchemist one was. If you'd like to let me know just how wrong I am, or how that particular meme made you cry and laugh at the same time, please, at Unaccounted For on Twitter. It is the best way to get in touch with me. Yeah, there we go.
500 dudes, man.
500 dudes. And Pedro, don't worry about it, man. You can put pants on your deck. You just got to bifurcate it.
Yeah, you're gonna pull the old shoe tucker on your deck, Pedro.
Credits.
All right. Well, next week when we find out that Nori is now a horrible human deck hybrid, we can thank our advisors, Omega Sarthera, and our executive producers, Aldius, Barbram, Scott Michaud, Mr. Foxdog, Atomic Ass, Meg G, Mike T, Drummer, Kaku, Jorge, and Thomas, and our Limnic fans, Darkwing and Abstraction.
Oh, and Pebble.
Death
There's
Notes.
Pebble
Okay.
from the executive producers.
God damn it, I can't read and think at the same time. like Scala,
And Sea
right?
Monsters, Jack, and Death Notes, Kijere, and Stein, and Mano.
Upstand
AJ,
Cannibals, Carl,
Mir.
Mike, Arthurlix, New Aldius, Noctilus, Johnny, Shep, Gamotron. I got them all. Deal with it. Dynafire, everyone, and we'll see you next Deckmas 501. I don't know what's after the D. I'm scared.
DI for
D1.
die. Die in a fire.
5 dudes.